Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Nathan Guerra. Welcome to the Zwift Community Live broadcast of the KISS Community League out on Zwift for the Volcano Flat for 3 laps. We are going to be covering the men's and the women's race out there today. And alongside me, I do have co-commentator, Mr. Greg Leo, the mad scientist, as I like to call him, of all the world of Zwift racing. We've got 3 races in, Greg. 3 races in. And where are things standing right now? I mean, it seems that Canyon, ZCC, and Innovation have been dominating the racing so far. The usual starts are going to be getting off pretty intensely here, but let's check a little bit as these race stars get going here about where things have kind of stood so far. As you know, the teams have definitely been showing up to show us exactly who wants to win this series as far as the teams and the individuals go.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I mean, Canyon ZCC obviously formed just for this race. I mean, well, maybe not just for this, but I mean, you know, they started and you know, their goal was to, you know, get something going before this race started, and now they're showing up and winning the races. So that's awesome to see. Another new team in 3rd place though, Fusion ECT. So there's definitely a lot of new, you know, a lot of team development going on, and those teams are showing up and really throwing down in this race. But of course, in Team Innovation, long-standing team on Zwift with a lot of excellent results, and in 2nd place in the men's team. So I mean, the men's team standings. So we'll see how it goes today. I see basically everyone out there.
444 racers. 444.
Yeah, I mean
that's a lot of people joining an event. I mean, half a thousand here showing up looking to take down. Now, look, let's talk about the course a little bit. Volcano Flat reverse. A little bit different than what people usually ride when they do jump out on Zwift. What do you think that they can expect as far as the tacking sections of the course out here to Greg?
Man, this course is one that we just rarely see on Zwift. You know, the Volcano Flat in the forward direction has that little 2-tier where we expect some attacks, but you know, in the reverse direction, there's just not much at all. I mean, maybe that climb coming out of the tunnel before the start finish banner, we might see a little something that could be interesting near the end. But I mean, really, this is going to be a very, very flat race. It's going to take some effort to shed riders from this one.
Talking of effort here, we do see on the front end here, Saibin actually from the KRT team here, without a heart rate though, cannot win on the day. Does use an aero power-up, maybe just to find himself at the front end of the race. So perhaps it was just looking for a little bit of reprieve there. A lot of times when you do see aero power-ups used very early on, that is what is going on. They're just looking for a little bit of relaxation after the insanity of the start. But it is a very flat race out here today. I think that the riders are going to be thinking a lot about hand-holding out there today. Hopefully we'll get, with this many racers and this much talent, we do see Phillips in here. I mean, Phillips, obviously super strong racer. Golev's in there as well. I saw the Frog, the Poison Dart out there. You know, Sabrara is out there as well. Soren Bay, I did sign. Gavin Arbor from Innovation. There is a lot. Dutch Racing is showing up today. Team Poland is out here in force. With this many riders and this many teammates, you know, in the men's race, or the open/men's race out here, I have a feeling perhaps we may see some attacks. Hopefully, for all of us here watching on, there isn't too much hand-holding out here today. Looking here real quick, let's go ahead and chat a little bit with chat and bring in some of the social media integration just to show everybody how that works real quick. If you do want to interact with the broadcast, it's a little bit different here on Zwift Community Live. We're all about interacting with you during the broadcast as well. Aaron hanging out over on YouTube. We also have the integration coming from Twitch. We've got Twitter as well, at Z Community Live. If you want to bring in any images of your pain cave, what's going on right now, we can bring those on in. Or if you have some sort of, you know, podium pics from riding out on Zwift, or just want to share something from in real life, the best way to bring in images is through Twitter. You can add us at Z Community Live. I believe you can bring them in maybe on Facebook as well, but our moderators might delete them if we don't like them. But also, obviously, you can interact over on the Twitch channel. We do see Reese, actually, the director over at Canyon ZCC. Good to see Reese hanging out over at Twitch. Sam Bikes is a contender for the win today. We're hearing from Ryman Lail here as well. So as you can see, there's all the integrations you can bring on in from all the chats. Pretty cool little feature that we do have. Let's jump in with the women's race, though, as they head on in toward the Volcano. We're seeing 15th place here. Brewer from Fearless right now as they are leaving the Volcano, actually. I'm going to take a look at the results right now over on ZwiftPower.com. If you are wondering where the results are held for the Community League, they are all over on ZwiftPower.com. You click on leagues at the top of ZwiftPower.com's website, and you can find the women's and the men's Community League for this European series that are currently covering. We do see Danny Rowe has shown up on the day. Always good to see world champions out on Zwift contending the races. Greg, definitely going to be a rider to watch out for this course specifically. We saw Danny a week or two ago showing up on a course that had a little bit more climbing. I think today perhaps this one's going to suit Danny a little better.
Absolutely, yeah. I think we'll see her definitely in the front group. What I expect kind of from this this race is a little bit of what we saw in the women's KISS Super League race, which will just be a really high pace and just some attrition, just some slow attrition off the back. I expect we'll see this group kind of dwindle down as we go through. As they hit some of the more, should we call them technical sections? I don't even know what we call them here. But, as these little attacks go, I think we'll see a little bit of attrition off the back, maybe down to a smaller group. And I think Danny Rowe has a real shot at this today. But, of course, she'll be contending with the women from Innovation and Canyon, Hoback, Hansen, Whitelaw, currently 1, 2, 3 in this series. The H sisters, Hoback and Hansen, we've seen them take down some sprints 1, 2. A few times in this one, I think now. So definitely some talent out there for Danny Rowe to contend with.
Yeah, looking at Innovation on the front here, 999 points currently for Louise Hoback, actually, out of Denmark, dominating for Innovation. Vicky Whitelaw, 997, only 2 points behind her. And then we do have Cecilia Hansen, also riding for Innovation, only 4 points behind Luis. There is sitting in third place. So Innovation dominating the series so far. They are sitting at the top in the team rankings at 989. They are not too far ahead of Canyon ZCC, though, with second place in the team standings. They are leading the team standings, Innovation still, but they do have, let's see here, it is about 50 points, a little under 50 point, 48 point difference between them in the team rankings. So Canyon ZCC, the semi-pro, fully supported team here with Falk, as we do see hanging out here. Eklund's in here as well. Watch out for them to be playing a very smart race today. With the team standings where they're at, with those two teams, with Innovation, Canyon, ZCC in this women's race, I think that's kind of a narrative here, a story a little bit that we could really pay attention to here, because it may calm things down between them, and some of the other riders might be trying to fight a battle that is outside of the battle between those two teams. I wouldn't be surprised if perhaps they look at each other a little bit more and wait for a sprint to take as many points as they possibly can. Because I know in my situation, if I'm in a race and I'm going to go ahead and want to think about the series overall and think about my team, I'm going to be following those who are in the lead. I'm going to be making sure that I'm spotting out those who are currently leading the series and making sure that I just beat them. That's my goal, is just beating the team that we need to beat to take over the series. Perhaps that may calm things down a little bit and make a little wiggle room maybe for KRT that we see out here today. We could see the BRT Hellcats, Hamilton showing up out here today as well. There's definitely some other riders. Obviously, Danny Rowe out here maybe going to be getting, taking down that first place with the sprint that she does have. So, I think this opens up a little bit more of a tactic here where we're going to see a Canyon ZCC versus Innovation, maybe stare down, high noon kind of situation going down here.
Yeah. This could play into the hands of someone like Mary Wilkinson, coming from the KISS team. She could kind of use the Innovation Canyon sort of duel, have them play against each other and just sneak in there, maybe take another podium spot. She's actually the only non-Innovation rider to podium in this series. I believe taking third either last week or the week before. But that kind of battle between Innovation and Canyon could open it up to a few of those riders, maybe some of the women from Fearless, some of the women from KISS, maybe some of the women from Vision. to sneak in there for a podium spot if they can kind of play that duel against those riders.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that takes place. But Hubach again here, this is her signature. Go to the front and make it difficult. She's got a TT. We've seen her and the other innovation rider, I believe it was, I believe off the front, Vicky Whitelaw out of Australia. Her and Whitelaw in, I believe, round number 1. Was it? Just walked away from the rest of the pack. And we could see another situation like that here today in round number 4 as Hubach goes to the front, looks to be trying to press the pace just a little bit. Now Brooks already back to 12th place, so it looks like the pressure that she did put on has calmed down a little bit as they make their way into the S-turns. They are on this section of course that does head on over toward the second part of Ocean Boulevard, over toward the windmills and the marina here. This is going to be a little bit calmer. It is a downhill section, but we do see a break here off the back. 3 riders. Now, it was that left-hand turn, I believe, that caused this, which, Greg, speak to that a little bit. I mean, you've got a lot of experience in Zwift racing. What happens on these corners? Why do riders get dropped off on these corners?
It does seem like the packs get a little bit stretched out on the corners. In Zwift, the riders don't really slow down when they corner. But I do think that the game engine kind of stretches out the group a little bit, even though there's not really any braking. It could be something like that. There was like a slight gradient there. It could be really anything at this point. They have been pushing a pretty good pace here. Hobach on the front. This is like you said, her signature. She gets on the front. She knows when to turn the screws to get this kind of attrition off the back. And that really does seem to be her game plan. She just gets on the front, sets a high pace, and just waits for those riders to fall off the back. She knows when to do it, and she's got a lot of power to kind of just break these groups apart slowly.
Yeah, looking here at Kristen Falk now from Canyon ZCC coming out of Norway. She goes to the front there. 2.6 watts per kilogram is what we saw coming from the rider from Canyon. And calming it right on down, though, so it looks like things have been calmed down after that initial break. We did see 3 fall off the back. We do have a group of what looks to be about 20 to 25 riders now that have all made this main group. Conant there, coming from Wahoo CH. That is an unfamiliar name for me. It looks like coming out of Wales here. And newer rider, it looks like, from what I can see here for the Wahoo Cycling Hub team. Interesting to see. I'd be watching out for a wild card there for that rider with one that I haven't been super familiar with so far in the races. All right, let's head on over to the men's races. They do head through Ocean Boulevard here, and we are looking at Team Poland, 149 beat sprint, obviously fairly calm at this point, but Stevie Young is in the view here. And let's talk about this rider as far as the favorite today. This is a sprinter, the Python. Mm-hmm. He's been waiting to strike, I think, for a little while here. He's been dropped yesterday as a part of the Zwift All-Stars team in the KISS Super League, racing amongst the pros. The week before, I think he was caught out a little bit as well. He just hasn't had – the only result that we've seen from him recently has been in Zwift Nationals. Amazing sprint there, but, outside of obviously a great result there, but it wasn't for the absolute win because he's still got to go to the finals. He's still got to prove it at the live finals with British Cycling. So an all-out absolute win we haven't seen from the Python lately. Perhaps today being a course that does not have a whole lot of sprinting, I expect Stevie Young to just kind of be sitting in for Canyon today, waiting for that moment.
I think they're probably all out for him. I think Vujasin is probably playing his domestique. Vujasin, the ultimate super domestique here, a guy who can win on his own. He can basically do anything, but he's just so dedicated to his team. He's probably out here in service of Steve Young. Like you said, Steve is definitely looking for a win today. One of the probably most dominant big sprinters on Zwift. In a finish like this reverse Watopia Ocean Boulevard sprint, it's definitely one that favors him. But another guy who's out here is his former teammate, Samuel Brandland, who took the, the Swedish National Championship win. And he's got a big sprint on him as well. So, he's definitely someone to look out for as well, in the sprint.
Merritt here and Cryogen, along with the draft team member Sorara here off the front. Reichert as well. The Dart now covers it. I'd be watching out for Sandbike. Sandbike taken down, I believe it was out on the Innsbruck ring a couple, was it a week or two back? And, with that last second up against, I believe it was Alex West. Interesting to see, do we have West out here today? Has Canyon
Ooh.
ZCC shown up with all of their riders, or are they?
Yeah, he's in there.
He is in there. Okay, gotcha. So
Yep.
definitely not a rider that I'd count out as well coming into the sprint. If we do have the likes of Ollie Jones out there today, obviously some of the favorites that we've been talking. I mean, we do have, as far as putting that name Dream Team and All Stars next to these names, we really do have this field of riders that we know amongst the community to watch out for the W's on any day here. Laverick here now from
Yeah.
the Wahoo team. There is the reality, though, that most of the courses that we've had so far have had a lot of uphill. They've had a ton of just grinding climbs, at least in the 2 to 3 minute mark for most of them here. Today is a different story. Today is the sprinters course. Today is where things open up that people can hang on all the way through. We're one lap down, 12.8 kilometers in. We are going for a total of about 36 to 38-ish kilometers, I believe it is, for the day. And Sullivan now 4.4 watts per 175 to sit in on that Cervelo S5 with the full disc in the back here. Most likely bought that one, as we do have the drops in game now. We no longer get to talk about being a beta member, being a part of the beta testing with the S5. Now that the drops have come, the drop shop has come along and sold it to everybody. But looking through here now up to the front here, we do have an attack. Things are not going to stay calm today. They are going to open up as they do head toward the volcano for the second time. It is Laverick from Wahoo Cycling Hub here, 175 beats per minute here, 519 watts from this rider. Orange numbers here, and with how calm things have been, we may see something start to break up here, as I do believe after that first lap, some of the riders were suffering. We saw some high heart rates. 40, this is a rider we haven't seen in a while, and it's good to see him out
40.
there racing Zwift. 170 beats coming from one of the strongest TT riders we've ever seen. The likes of 40 and Tim Cartwright, old school TTers just riding away from the pack, unstoppable. Will we see that today? It's a different world of Zwift racing, though, right now than we saw 2 years ago. But 40 is a rider, if he's got the power, if he's been putting the training in, that could ride away with one or two other riders and really make something happen here. We see him on that S-Works there. That's a new setup I haven't seen before. Pretty nice there.
Double disc.
With that, yeah, double disc. I mean, solid setup there. Laverick and 40 here trying to get away. Doesn't look like it's going to be happening. Vision are suffering a little bit here, though, in the team standings so far. They're currently sitting in 10th place with 7,092 points. So they are going to be looking for some points out there. They do not have a rider within the top 20 at this point. We do have Maxime, let's see, no, it is, we have to go all the way out, it looks like, to 51st place with David Kim Motto, actually, for the Vision team. So 40 here showing up, it looks like, to maybe grab them a result out there, as he does have the power to make something happen. Maybe not in a sprint situation, though, up against the likes of a Steve Young, of an Alex West. This is going to have to be a situation where this rider and one or two others are going to have to walk away from the pack here. It does get closed down immediately, makes his way to the back, looks for a draft note. This Pods line from Team Experimental, a quiet team lately out on Zwift.
Another guy we haven't seen in a while. Yeah.
Yeah, Pods line.
Yeah.
Where's he been at? Do we have anything on Pods line as far as recent results go, though, too? Because
I'll have
it'd
a
be
look and
interesting
see
to
what we
know.
can find.
Yeah, let me know if these guys have been racing. 40 as well as Podsline. These are names that we haven't seen for probably 3-4 months at this point. They were going strong coming into the fall, and now we see them jumping into the KISS Community League. Back in with the women's racing, though, as they do head into the same section where we just saw these attacks here. Falk here on the front, in 8th place. Being attacked, though, by Moin Moin here in that SRAM Tour kit. Now, as you do see, Hansen there follows it up by Hubach as well. And then we are seeing Whitelaw coming on through. We do see one Vision rider coming into the scope there, as it is going to be Kirsty Hole coming from Norway as well. Reed's there, as well as Poole coming from the KRT team, making their way to the front as they do come around with that right-hand turn. There is a gap now at this point as Kirsty tries to hang on, it looks like, just barely making it for the Vision team. Eklund there from Canyon, now 186 beats per minute. Milou is there. Blaney now just jumping onto the back, barely. Danny Rowe now suffering, though. 408 watts, gets caught out a little bit. On this flatter course, they are definitely trying to get rid of the strongest sprinter in here. We thought maybe that this would favor her to the finish line, but The pressure is on, and I have a feeling that these riders know the threat that is amongst them right now and do not want the likes of Danny Rowe to hang in for Rowan King all the way to the line. 187 beats per minute. The suffering is real. 6 watts per kilogram. We're going to give her a ride on for some encouragement. Let's get that encouragement out there to see if she can get back on terms. Looks like it's going to happen, but this is only starting of lap 2. She's got to hang on for another lap before it is going to be a sprint. There's also the reality of the climb out of Ocean Boulevard, that 3% uphill gradient that might put a rider like Danny on the back foot a little bit to not just have a pure sprint at the finish line. So Vicky Whitelaw with the likes of Innovation, as well as Hubach there, again, putting the pressure on at the front end of this pack as they went into the start of the Estes there just a moment ago, which really broke them things apart. Now we do have Mason off the back with Brewer. Brewer from Fearless there was trying to make it happen, as well as Vale from the KRT team. 4 seconds back from the pack now at this point. It does split apart with 15 riders involved still in the women's race. So let's start having a little chat with some of the community here. How's it going there, community? We got some cheering here for Podsy, as well as Bert De Haan here saying go to Paul. Who is your favorite rider in the community? Who are you watching currently from home? Maybe you're next to a rider right now and you can take a picture and shoot it as what does it look like for the real life suffering right now. Who do you think is going to take the W in the women's race, in the men's race? We'll go ahead and start bringing in some of your comments or even questions. If you do have questions about what's happening out on course as well, we are watching the chats as much as possible. Go ahead and bring those on in, and we will make sure to answer them, or as well as let everybody know who your favorites are out on course. Blaney here now, 7 watts per kilogram at the front now, starting to push the pace as they're going to exit the volcano momentarily. This is a pressure section of the course where riders definitely could find themselves off the back because of the kind of speed that the riders can carry out of the volcano into this 2-tier downhill. Downhills, a lot of times people are looking for the rest, but if you have any kind of gap between yourself and the pack heading into any of these downhill sections, that is the danger zone for sure, because the speed of the pack can just walk away, Greg. I mean, you think uphill, Greg, is where it's at, right? But downhill can be just as dangerous if you get a 1-second gap away from that pack.
I'll tell you what, I'd always rather be chasing on a slight uphill than on a downhill. You just don't want to be chasing on downhill. It's such a frustrating experience to be putting out, 2-3 watts per kilogram more than the group and just no progress on it. Whereas on a slight uphill, as long as you can match the, uphill or slight uphill, as long as you can match that watts per kilogram, get a little bit higher than the riders in that group, you're going to be catching up to them. Downhill is definitely not a place you want to be chasing.
It's such a great point, actually. When I am heading into an uphill, I know that all I have to do is raise the watts per kilogram enough, and it'll close pretty quickly. On a downhill, it doesn't matter. You just got to wait till it gets flat, or until you get nowhere. No matter how much effort you put out, usually nothing happens. Usually there's just a reality that it's pretty much just said and done at that point, and you are not bringing that group back. So that is one of the more frustrating, just realities of the way that Zwift Racing does work. You get dropped off on a downhill, and it's pretty much said and done a lot of times. And the chase is almost impossible to bring back those riders. As we are heading over into the S-turns, we do have a couple of attacks here in the heading onto Ocean Boulevard for the men's race. Back in with the men's race we are watching here, and it does look like 40 here sitting in 65th place here right now. As we do move our way forward, though, there was an attack a little bit. As we said earlier, these sections of the course are some dangerous ones because of the way that the group splits a little bit through the corners. 13th place now up in the 10th place. We are seeing, it looks like, Maciek here now with no heart rate. It looks like, so unable to take the W, riding out of Poland here, 121 RPMs, but getting his workout, it looks like, out here today. Looking through, it looks like firmly making away. Yamaguchi's there, coming out of Japan now, riding unattached, it looks like. And then it's going to be Klassen there for Canada now, taking up the lead of this group. But it is Steve Young, 3.0 watts per kilogram. As far as the riders go for the brunt of the workout there today, what do you think the situation is as far as who has done it? I mean, looking through the men's situation, It does look like Burke Hansen at a solid 5.1 watts per kilogram. Pierre Almeida riding unattached at 5.1. James Gelsthorpe. Now, this doesn't look like any kind of team situation. Ed Laverick, perhaps, though, for, Ed Laverick, they're riding for the Cycling Hub team out there, Wahoo Cycling Hub team, perhaps doing some work for that team there, 5.2 watts per kilogram current for him. But I'm not sure that they have anybody besides Ed in the race in this lead group at this point. So perhaps just trying to make something happen out there as
maybe
Jeffers
Cam
is
Jeffers.
In as well.
Yep,
Cam Jeffers. Yep, good call. Jeffers has got a sprint too. We saw him sprinting. There was a nice little YouTube video actually recently coming out from them watching his sprint in the UK Zwift Nationals. Just barely nipped out of the top 10, I believe, for a invite to the live final there. But he's got a sprint on him. We could see maybe the Wahoo Cycling Hub team out there working for him today.
Yeah, I believe he will be at the live finals. I think maybe there were some riders who, maybe couldn't make it that date or something, and so I believe we will. Even though he was outside of the top 10, I believe he will be at the live finals, assuming he's qualified and everything like that. But he does have on his record here a 14.9 watt per kilogram, 15-second critical power. So that's pretty elite. He can definitely hang with the likes of Steve Young. Sam Bike, though, is really the standout in that realm with an 18.2, Nathan, 18.2 watts per kilogram for 15 seconds. I'd say pretty world class for a guy his size.
Sam Bike, buddy, man, 18.2. That's pretty intense there, Sam Bike. So we do see Cy Brandy from Dutch Racing here now making his way to the front, 5.6 watts per kilogram as they head downhill again. This is another section of the course we're watching at 440 watts, maybe trying to catch somebody off guards off the back. Well, actually, there's a little bit of split here. 3 seconds back. Schwartz here calming it right on down. Do you know what is this team? Is this a new team, Dash W? Like, I've seen this Dash W in a couple of different riders' names here. Is this a new team?
I
Double
believe
dashes.
This is I believe this is the Dropouts team. I don't know what the -W means or stands for, but I believe
no watts. It means dash no watts.
Oh,
that's what it means.
That's it.
It means that's the Dropouts team. I love Mike Schwartz. Mike Schwartz, who came up with this? Let us know, Schwartz, because that is one of the most creative, best teams to ever come into the world of Zwift racing, because that's what you see when you get a dropout. You see dash, and then the W in the upper left-hand corner. So good. Great team name, Mike Schwartz. You know what's actually going to happen? That's going to be the new brand of the trainer that needs to be released that they are developing in order so you can actually plug it into a computer and no longer have a dropout at something like a live event.
Maybe that's their play. Schwartz is the
So,
owner.
Canyon toward the front here now and making their way. Who's the owner? Say that one more time.
Schwartz is the owner of that team, so he might be the one responsible for this triumph of team naming.
It's absolutely triumphant here, and it needs to be the new Dash trainer here that needs to get released. That'd be one of the best brand names of all time here. But now, back up to the front here, it is going to be Pingu here now. I absolutely love. Whenever Pingu is in here, we need a wah-wah for Pingu every time we see this guy.
Il Pinguino.
I love this guy. So he's up toward the front here, 175 beats per minute here coming out of the UK, 326 watts. Right now, Schwartz now making his way to the front with no dropouts just as of yet. We'll have to wait and see if that team starts throwing down the dropouts to try and get off the back. But now Collins, now U20 17 rider, actually junior rider out on course, 183 beats per minute, beating like a butterfly as they make their way toward this 3% uphill gradient now. And now Poison Dart, though, this is the one. We haven't talked a lot about Messiano yet today. He's been fairly quiet. And, this is not a course that necessarily suits his all-out favor, but he has a sprint on him, doesn't he?
Yeah, he can sprint. This is the course where I would expect him to sort of frog off the front for a while and just try to break things up. He's been really quiet. Maybe he's waiting for the end. Does he have any teammates in here? I'm not sure. I haven't seen any of the IS riders, any of the other IS riders in here. So he might just be waiting for the sprint. Here we go,
Greg. We're seeing here.
Vujasin, my man.
And West, Vujasin and West off the front now at this point. This could go somewhere. I would not count this out I mean, 2 seconds off the front, 6.7 walks per kilogram. This is going to get a response, I would assume. Fusion ECT making the way to the front with Kalman there. Klassen going as well. Patrick Volk. Now it's going to be Steam 2 with 4.3 watts per kilogram sitting in. Klassen, though, just closing the door, 175. Nobody's interested, which is very dangerous to let these two off the front. Stevie Young, though, what is Steve doing? No!
What is
Steve doing? At the front. Why is he driving the pace? Podsline now comes there for Team Experimental. Closes it down. 6.4 from West, but it just gets shut down by Steve Young. Maybe a little bit of mistake, not realizing how far forward he had gone at that point. Because the reality is he sped the pack up there with a 6 watt per kilogram up against his teammate there with Canyon ZCC. 3 of them toward the front of this race. And now it just gets shut right down. Perhaps a little bit of mistake there from the Canyon ZCC team there. What do you think there, Greg? I mean, that was interesting.
That was a premature strike by Steve Young. I don't know what happened. He might have been going up there to try and slow things down and just got a little too excited on the front of the group. I'm not sure.
Too excited. The attack, though, that we did see just a few moments ago there. There they are, Vusin followed by West there. Off the front, they did get about 3 seconds. They do look good on those cannons there. 176, we did see 480. They got away for just a moment, but the attack was quickly shut down as we head back into the live racing here, almost by his own teammate there, which was interesting. Podsline was one of the riders that did close it down as well for Team Experimental, riding solo out there for Team Experimental right now. So that was the attack there out of the underground there. The first one that we really saw from any of the riders that was dangerous, especially with some organization there from a team that could make something happen. Last lap starting here, Kalen from KRT. Climber most likely won't be involved in a sprint situation, would have to get away with the likes of some of the old schoolers, which is 40, I would believe, out on course here, as well as Podsline. You know, it'd be fun to see some of the old school riders actually try and get away, and that's exactly what we're seeing right here with 40, with the drafting power up on that S-Works, with the Cervelo disc on the back now. Kirschmer's going with them as well. There's Kalen, like we just said. He knows who to follow. He's been racing with 40 for years out on Zwift. Stevie Young knows what's happening, though. Kicks it to the front, 5.3 watts per kilogram. Fromling goes with ECT. Soren Bay, 6.2 now, following it up there, too, as well. Now it's going to be Track Mob Berlin there. Who is Track Mob Berlin? Coming out of Germany. The mob is out here.
A lot of new names.
There's all kinds of interesting stuff that happened out here today with the double dash watts. What's happening with the dropouts? They're hanging in, it looks like, still. But it's going to be Power Simon there, too, as well, riding with just the vegetables, it looks like, out on course. As for some reason, I can't click on him. No, it's a Vega. No, it is vegan with the somehow power coming from only vegetables. Good to see him out there with his veggies here. Now it's going to be 169 beats per minute coming from 40. Unable to get anywhere just as of yet.
Interesting to see 40 use that drafting power up before an attack. I mean, you know, on this course, one thing I've been meaning to bring up is there's only one opportunity to get a power up per lap at that start-finish banner, I believe. Now, if I'm wrong, I hope the chat will call me out on that. But that's definitely true on the forward version of this course, and I don't believe they go under any other banners other than the start-finish banner. So essentially, only 3 opportunities for a power-up in this race, maybe 2. The first time around, second time around, gosh, I'm having trouble counting, but very few opportunities for a power-up here. And so interesting to see 40 use that drafting power-up. I don't think he's going to have another opportunity to grab another power-up during this race. I think that's it.
Perhaps what happened there was he grabbed that power-up with the intention of, you know, the situation might have been that he used a power-up going through, looking for a drafting power-up, and then used that immediately because all he got was a drafting power-up. They just came through the start-finish at that point. And he might, he was just mad. He was just mad. He just decided to forget it. Going to use my counter at this point because it's not going to matter in the sprint perhaps. We'll see if they can try and get away. I think he knows that at this point that's all that's happening. We do have the women here now, though. We did see just an attack just a moment ago from the women coming out of the underground tunnel there on Ocean Boulevard here. Let's see if we can bring that on in. And there's the attack here coming from the women here. Blaney with Hubach did go off the front there for just a moment and tried to get away, as we do hear the speed of the wheels there very loudly, everybody. But Moin Moin went well with it, though. It was Falk that fouled it up and closed it right on down. Whitelaw as well, as they did exit the turn. Uckland there, 7.7 there, still involved. And now the group is all back together as they head into their final lap. So the attack there from Innovation, as you see, it was Hubach and Whitelaw trying to make something happen again. Innovation still leading the attacks on this race, as well as the series. So Innovation showing up week in and week out here. But Canyon ZCC still involved. If they can take the W here for the podium, and I think today is the day for Canyon ZCC. Eklund's got a sprint on her for sure. Moin Moin here might be able to grab a few points at the front there. Here up Madsen out of Denmark. Not a familiar name. Greg, if you could help me out here with some of your mad scientist ZP powers, I'd love to know what's happening with the other rider out of Denmark. There's actually 3 Danish riders in here. Moin Moin we know, Hubach we know, but the likes of, it looks like Madsen is an unfamiliar name there. Hansen's still in there, coming out of Sweden there for Innovation, and is still involved. It looks like the drop did happen for KRT as well as Fearless, trying to chase things down, but they are off the back at this point by quite a few. I mean, it's out well over a minute now at this point, so not even seconds. It looks like we perhaps lost Danny Rowe, though, from the race today. Too bad to see. She got back on terms heading into last lap here, or heading into lap 2. And now as we head into the last lap, it looks like we're dropped off from the race here. So we'll have to wait and see if we do get a report there as what happened. Maybe a dropout or something there. We'll see if we can see something over on Twitter. But Hansen now making it to the front. Eklund from Canyon ZCC. Going to be Kirsty Hoyle, though. Hoyle there coming from Vision, trying to get them onto the leaderboard a little bit more. And it's 4.5 watts per kilogram as they push the pace. Kitten Little Bits over on Twitch. We see all of your chatter. We definitely want to see you and your cat, because that is what the internet is made for. Nothing but cat gifs and cat pics. So make sure to send that over to Twitter, and we will bring that right on in. Dan Fleeman says, go Team Cryogen. Where is Dan Fleeman today? Rather than chatting from the chat, why do we not have the likes of the Flea Man hanging out for Cryogen on the front end of this race today? That's what I want to know. Dan, where are you? Where is the Flea on the front end? We need you to take on the Poison Dart Frog and not be, we'll leave that one alone. But the Frog always after the Flea out there. But we'll see if we can get him back out here racing. But it's good to see Dan hanging out in the chat for Team Cryogen. Fleeman is resting, we're hearing from the Twitch chat. So now back on the front, though, it's going to be Malou. Fearless on the attack, 4.3. This might be a smart move. Fearless trying to make something happen as well as Vision. I mean, they're outnumbered. It's Canyon versus Innovation. And this opens up a few things here maybe for some of the solo riders, Greg.
Yeah, for sure. One thing is I'm looking at Line here at Madsen. She's done 31 races on Zwift. Definitely a TT specialist. Not much of a sprint on her. We have seen her on the front of this group quite a bit so far. It's going to be kind of tough for her to win a race like this today, but she definitely has a solid 20-minute power at almost 300 watts, which is, that's some serious 20-minute power output for her FTP. So that's our third rider from Denmark in this race. But like you said, yeah, with Canyon and Innovation playing against each other, I think some plays like this for Fearless might be good because, someone goes off the front who's not from Canyon or Innovation, they're going to be kind of competing to see what team is going to take up the chase. And maybe that dilemma lasts long enough that a solo rider could get away. Maybe someone like, who could stay away? Maybe this Line Madsen. Maybe she has the kind of power to stay away from a group like this.
With the power you're talking about there, I think that might be the only rider in and amongst this group that could get away from the likes of Innovation and Canyon out there today. Back in with the men's race, though, as the women are about to finish out their half a lap here of their last lap, but we are heading into the last quarter lap here for the men, and the attacks are taking place. We do have a couple of off the front now at this point, and this may be the only chance for the likes of Laverick for Wahoo Cycling Hub at this point, and it's going to be Kalman from Fusion ECT trying to chase that down. Pod's line there as well, but the watts are only 4.3 watts per kilogram. It's a slight downhill at this point, negative 2% gradient, so it's going to be very difficult to get away. It might break things apart, but we do see the smart racers here, Stevie Young, Canyon, as well as Alex West sitting in for Canyon now at this point. They've got so many matches to burn in amongst this group. Greg, what are you thinking here?
Oh, man. I think this is going to come down to a big bunch sprint. And I think it's anyone's game, because who knows who's got an aero power-up. I mean, this is a totally different dynamic now, that you can't hoard the helmet into the pens and carry it to the finish line, which would be the play for all these experienced riders. But now with only a few chances at getting a power-up, it's really going to come down to who's got that helmet at the end of this one. So I think we're going to see a handful of riders with an aero power-up. They're going to go off the front, and it's going to be, one of them. It might just be a matter of timing at that point.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think is going to be happening here. I mean, there's just a reality that the aero power-up is where it is at. We could see a feather, though, on the 3% uphill gradient. We would have to see, though. I mean, I could not. The dart with a feather on the uphill, 3% gradient. How much time could he actually get, and would it stay away? I think everyone's going to be looking for it. I think even with the feather there, everyone's going to be expecting something on that little climb out of there, because they know that's where it goes down. I think maybe if he attacked earlier than that and could hold it through, use the feather power up on that uphill, hold that power through, and hope that the riders just look at each other and no one wants to chase. That might be an opportunity for someone with the kind of power of Poison Dart Frog, maybe someone like 40, who we've seen do some attacks like that in big races. That's maybe the call I would make if I was, team director of a team with no power-ups, is attack, maybe a kilometer out from that climb, or, half a kilometer out from that climb when people aren't expecting it, and hope to get some time before they even hit it. We've got a lot of comments coming on here from the socials here. Men's Pack is cruising, coming from Casey Shum, no other than CX Tricks over on Twitch, saying, Men's Pack is cruising, pack is too big to do anything but just ride. There should be a bonus for whoever finishes best without an aero helmet. Your Soon's birthday is perfect excuse for not being in the race today. Dan, we're hearing from Martin here over on Facebook, and Dan Fleeman is letting us know that it is his son's birthday, and he got a beating from the frog a couple of times. Being beat up by a frog, man, I don't know. That's kind of, I mean, if a frog's beating you up, dude, you might have more problems than just Swift Racing. But here we go. Frumling now from Fusion ECT off the front with an aero power-up on a downhill. What is Frumling doing? Is this a wasted effort? We'll have to wait and see. Maybe he's trying
That's not a bad move.
Here's the thing. Is he thinking of his teammates at this point, though? I do see a little bit of blue here, and now we got a Maciek here's going now from Poland. Whoa. Without a heart rate, 10 watts per kilogram from way out at 186 RPMs, and this is full
hold 800 for a kilometer?
I mean, this is out of control. He cannot take the W. We saw some comments about that earlier in the chat. Can you win without a heart rate? No, you cannot. You cannot place, and the riders do recognize at this point that is most likely a little bit of a flyer situation, so they're just going to let that go, it looks like, as he's holding 8 watts per kilogram for the duration of 5 centuries. So, Laverick now on the front, here we go. It looks like 7.4 watts per kilogram. Looking to chase down the Polish rider here. Wahoo Cycling, 8.0 watts per kilogram, absolutely demolishing himself. Not looking for a sprint, looking to just get away, but it's 51 kilometers per hour. And Beach is like, that's 50, no worries. We got this on your wheel. Not going anywhere here, Greg. I think it's all going to stick together. Casey Shum most likely right about that assessment here about what's going to go down.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, if you want to get away from this group, you need to surprise them with a very hard attack, or use an air power-up. An attack like, an effort like we just saw there, where you raise it up to 8 watts per kilogram, isn't going to do it, because someone will just jump on your wheel, someone will jump on his wheel, and so forth, and the whole group comes along. I mean, you got to kick it up real high if you want to get any separation here. But without an aero power-up, I don't see anyone getting away from the group at, almost 50 kilometers per hour at this point.
We do see Brandlin here. Now here's ways in front, 9.6 watts per kilogram momentarily there, just making sure he gets good positioning. This is interesting here. Look at the watts that they have to throw down just to be in position. With this kind of a group, this is a different kind of Zwift racing. It's such a large group that just to hold position, you got to throw down these 9-10 watts per kilogram here and there. Bergen's now going to the front for the Vikings here. Here comes the Poison Dart Frog. Hansen down from ECT, it looks like. Bergen, though, again, the Vikings making their way to the front in that Tour of California kit here. Merritt there from Cryogen. Now to the front, it's going to be Almeida here. Almeida here out of France here, making it happen. 170 beats per minute, completely bunched up. There are the verified badge of Messineo there, right along with Cameron Jeffers there from the Wahoo CH. 197 beats per minute currently. Stevie Young, though, it looks like. Whiteley there for the BRT. But Young sitting and poised to strike like the Python does here. Reichert now leading things out. Glavak here as well, the US of A. Class in there coming from Canada now taking up the front here with the drafting power-up. Not going to be doing anything, it looks like, with that, though. Now it comes with the feather power-up. Who's the rider off the front with the feather power-up? It's got to be Podsline. He's the only team experimental rider that we know of in the race right now. It is Podsline off the front just a little bit. He's just going to be a lead-out man, it looks like, though, at 7.9. I have a feeling he's going to find himself completely off the back or the middle of the pack by the end of this sprint here, as this is a huge effort here. Now another kick comes from the Poison Dart. The Poison Dart trying to mix things happen. They're routing out the last corner. Here we go. The arrow power-ups being thrown. They know they're from – these are way out. This isn't even within the last 30 seconds. And people are popping power-ups from sections that we've never even heard of at this point. Here comes Fusion ECT, though. Hansen here leading it out. He might have the gap to make this happen, but no. Here comes 16.5 watts per kilogram. Messineo, the Poison Dart, looking to make it happen here. The Frog trying to get the better of Brandon. Brandon, though, comes. Here comes Brandon. Brandon, can he make it happen? No, the Dart's going to hold on. Will he hold on to it to the line? But it's right at the line. Is it West? No. West cannot make it happen. The Dart, with a sprint from about 200 meters, takes it down. What an amazing sprint there coming from the Poison Dart Frog there. And we'll have to wait for the official results in just a moment. We'll jump in there. I thought Stevie Young was well poised, but they went from so far out there. I mean, that was a very far out sprint. Absolutely amazing. Let's jump in with the women, though. We definitely have a break taking place here. Off the back, it is going to be Team Fearless as well as Kirsty Hull. Vision are not going to be involved in the sprint. Hubach pushed the pace, it looks like, again. And now we do only have, it is going to be Moyne Eklund coming from Canyon, and then it's going to be Hubach as well. Whitelaw is in there still. Europe has been dropped off the back here, so the hopes of anybody taking down Canyon or Innovation today have been smashed here, Greg. We'll jump in with the replay of the men's race as well as the official result in just a moment. But
got the unofficial
what's happening here with the what's happening with this women's race? It looks like there was an attack there through the uphill out of the Volcano Flat section course, and now we've got this break of 7 off the front.
Yeah, so this is and it's too bad we missed that, but you know, this is an interesting group here. Let's see who's all in this group. Gosh, I see Hoback from Innovation. No surprise that she's involved. No surprise she's involved in this break. I wouldn't be surprised if she initiated this break. In fact, given the way she's been riding and the way she likes to ride in these races, it looks like we got Hansen, Eklund, Falk, Hoback, Moyne, and Whitelaw in this group. Is that what I'm seeing, Nathan?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Moyne, Hubach, Whitelaw. Blaney's in there as well. So watch. That's a rider that we've seen in there involved week in and week out. Unattached rider.
It's like maybe not registered on Zwift Power.
So perhaps not registered on Zwift Power, but she's been there every week, which is really interesting. That she has been around every week and has not been registered there. Maybe we can get some encouragement on that way for registration to try and get things moving there. But a lot of these riders, I'm pulling up the Zwift over on Twitch right now, and just so you guys know, a lot of these riders are streaming, especially the Canyon ZCC streamers, riders. They are a part of their program is that they try and stream all of their races. So be watching out for that. I also am seeing a Cycling Hub ride. I mean, there's at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So a lot of these riders are streaming the KISS League out here at this moment right now. Eklund here, I am seeing has a live stream going. Lionel's stream was going as well. So be watching out for those streams over on Twitch. Make sure to throw them a follow. It is a huge undertaking. Well, I mean, once you get it set up, but I mean, streaming's no joke.
Yep.
And these riders put in a huge effort to be able to show off the real life efforts that they do have during these races here. So Eklund here now, 3.0 watts per kilogram, 178 beats per minute. The suffering is real out of Sweden right now. And Moin Moin following it up there, it looks like. Let's take a look at a few of these heart rates as they do come in. Who's going to have the sprint, though, amongst these ladies? I mean, between them, I think
Hansen's got the best sprint, I believe, in this group. She's sitting at about 151 beats per minute right now. Obviously, I don't know what her max is, but that seems low. She seems rested. Hoback has a decent sprint, sitting at 147 BPM. To me, they seem the most rested, but of course, it's always hard to tell with heart rate. People have different maxes. People have different threshold heart rates. But as far as the sprint power numbers go, Hansen definitely has the strongest 15-second, probably followed by Moin Moin. So we might see a BRT upset here. And again, it's going to come down to who's got that aero power up. This is a small group. They haven't had many opportunities to get a helmet. So, gosh, I guess we'll have to see who's got those power ups at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And the great Nathan Frank Laraza, that is a great comment. The only thing with that, Nathan, I really do appreciate, and this is a great comment and question. Let's go ahead and address this real quick before we do head into the final sprint here. And since it is all about the racing, that's why we are going to address it, about the community racing. But the streams that we do set out are about a 15-second difference. So not only would you be seeing the stream that we set out 15 seconds after what we are actually sending, you'd be seeing 15 seconds back to what they're seeing as well. It'd be a huge gap. A lot of times we do riders on board, and we will do that when we do get some more of that stuff set up where we can bring them in directly to our streams. That is a thing that we could do, definitely. Blaney here, the unattached rider here going off the front, but without the registration on Zwift Power, I wonder if they're going to follow. Whitelaw seems interested to grab that wheel, as we do see here. So going to, it looks like, be hammering away to get this lead out here from Blaney. Hubach follows it up as well. Hansen trying to go. Falk now looking to hang on and giving the lead out here for Eklund, it looks like, perhaps to try and get back on turns. But Eklund's got to hold on to that 4-meter gap right now. The Swedish rider may be falling off. Everything she really has, 193 beats per minute to try and make this happen. There's an aero power up already from Kirsten Falk. Kirsten Falk now already using the most valuable thing that she can have on course, which is that helmet now. Whitelaw now sitting in, and Innovation sees that the work has been done almost. Falk now making her way to the front for Cannon. Now Hubach, though, 8.2 watts per kilogram, jumps up and out of the saddle here. We are seeing Hansen now, 177 beats per minute. Looks like they do have plenty of firepower left for Waters Bazooka to the line here. Hubach follows up with 7.1 watts per kilogram. Looks like it's going to be a drag race rather than a sprint to the line here. 7.6, 7.4. Moin Moin not able to hang on now at this point, as we can see. 8.0 watts per kilogram. Hubach continues to go. Innovation, again, looking to dominate this series here. Very early here, but now it might be not in her favor, as Eklund had an aero power up and counters. Hubach tries to go, but does she have the watts to give? It looks like Eklund might win this, but she's got to go now. She cannot slow down. It's got to be everything to the line. She's leading it out. Eklund trying to make it happen for Canyon ZCC. It's going to be right to the line. Hansen and Eklund, it was neck and neck. We got to look at the back end API for that one, because it does not lie, but oh my gosh. That came right down to it, and Eklund timed it perfectly. I mean, seriously, a perfectly timed sprint there. Let's take a look at that one, because that was neck and neck, so close there, right to the line. Here they come, Eklund versus Hansen. 8.5.
Yep.
Look at, they're matched. Like, their wattages are practically matched. And I couldn't tell. We had the angle just a little bit diagonal there, so I couldn't tell exactly what it came through as.
The backend API is saying Hansen won by 1/10 of a second. It looked a lot closer than that on screen to us. But man, Eklund with that aero power up, it looked like she kind of sat up for a second. She got that little bit of a gap. You know, if she had just stayed on it, she might have.
She went to like 5.7 for a second. She was up into like, she was up into what looked to be about it looked like she was up into about 9 watts per kilogram steady. And then for some reason
Yeah.
there was a little fade, maybe a little hesitation, thinking she was going to grab a wheel
This,
again, perhaps,
yeah.
or something.
You know, this sprint is so hard because it's a blind sprint, and you just don't. A lot of people don't know it that well. You rarely ride on it. She might have got out front and just had second thoughts about about being out there for that long. I've had that a dozen times on this course. You go too early. We saw that in the men's sprint. You see maybe 4/10 of a mile left or whatever that is in kilometers. And maybe that's the time you start looking to hit your aero power up and get ready to go. But this one always just seems a little longer than the distance says. So it's just a funny sprint, and it's an easy one to second guess your tactics on. So that could have been part of what happened there.
I've done that before plenty of times, actually, the second guess on this specific sprint, on both the downhill off of the Watopia reverse as well as coming out of Ocean Boulevard. That sprint does, you come around the corner and you're not sure quite how far it really is at that point. You don't have any meter markers, I don't think, either. I think that's the confusing part, is I don't believe you have any meter markers on the reverse. Not that I can remember.
Yeah, I don't think you do. There's a little rock on course that I use to mark my sprint. Do you know the rock? Do you know that one little rock?
I don't know the rock.
On the right side. Yeah, you'll see it next time you ride. I mean, this is the secrets of the true Zwift specialist. There's a little rock on the right side of the course. I think it's after that turn. That's always where I start my sprint. Of course, now that I've told everyone this, I will start it either slightly before or slightly after that rock. So take a look out for that rock. Very, very nice little rock on course there. But yeah, we don't have meter markers.
Back in with the men's race, how it played out here. They went from way out here. As you do see Hansen here coming on through
rock.
Fusion ECT. Where's the rock? It looks like they went from way before the rock here. And then here comes Rich here from ZWC. Messineo, 16. And Messineo goes right at the 16 watts per kilogram, as you can see, right at the rock. It looks like it was perfectly timed. Grabbing the wheel, it's going to be Brandlin. I thought Brandlin would come around. Alex West coming around the back of the group there, trying to come through. Was unable to pull quite enough wattage as Messineo was holding on to 14 fairly steadily for quite a while. Brandlin almost came around, it looked like there, but was not happening. Alex West comes through in third, it looked like. Can you give me some results here, Greg, on the men's side of things?
Yeah, so actually the back end is telling us that Alex West took Sam Bike by 1/100th of a second in that sprint. So Messineo first, a tenth of a second back was Alex West, and then just 1/100th of a second behind him was Sam Bike, followed by Stefan Kirchmeier, a rider who's kind of come out of nowhere here with his team, Kirchmeier Cycling, and Ingo Reithart, a teammate of his, right behind him. So that rounds out the top 5.
Gotcha, right on. Great race all around there for them. And what about the women's side of things? Looks like...
Yeah, so the women's, let's see if we got here. So I'm looking at, this
Hansen
is probably unofficial results, but Hansen, Hansen, although it looked so close, on the video replay, it has Eklund finishing a tenth of a second behind Hansen. It looked a lot closer than that to me, followed by Hoback in third, then Moin and Falk.
Right on. So Hansen, Eklund, Hubop, Moin, Falk, again Canyon trying to nip at the at the heels there of innovation in the women's side of things, unable to do so. On the men's side of things, it's Canyon ZCC trying to get the better of the Messineo with without Messineo. Who is he riding for?
I believe he's riding for Dirt IS at this point.
Got it.
The new Dirt indoor specialist team.
So are they registered on Zwift Power though? I'm not seeing their.
Maybe is he still part of it? Yeah, he's showing as indoor specialist on Zwift Power.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't see them in the results, as you say. So he has been the only rider, I believe, doing this.
Gotcha.
Doing this European League. I believe most of their riders are doing ride earlier in the day in America. Who knows what day it is over in Australia? But they're the morning crew, as they say.
Right on. Well, everybody, thanks a lot for tuning in. Great job to all the riders out there. And if you want to know how this shakes up for the results for this race, as well as the overall standings, head on over to ZwiftPower.com. You can check out the leagues there. You can check out all the results there as well. That's the place that the community is going for all of the standings. Again, make sure to hit those follow buttons wherever you are watching today. Greg, thanks a lot for jumping into the broadcast with us here today.
Yeah, it was fun.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Greg Leo, the Mad Scientist. Make sure to go ahead and follow his hairspray reviews over on Facebook. and I'm Nathan Garrett coming at you from Zwift Community Live here. Hit the follow buttons. We're over on Twitch, Mixer, YouTube, as well as Facebook for all things Zwift Community. And we will see you soon. I believe that is going to be next Tuesday, if not sooner, for the next broadcast. And again, huge shout out to all those who are out there streaming in the community on Facebook as well as Twitch. Is the main place I've seen a lot of them. And make sure to go follow those streams. If you go over on to Twitch actually and search Zwift at the top, you can find all the past streams over there. And I really encourage everybody to support those streamers and grow the world of Zwift streaming in that esports world, as that is how it's going to happen. Cheers, everybody. Thanks everybody for watching. And as always, there's one more thing. As always, because we're out on the volcano.
Not India. No, don't go. I showed you, don't go in the lava.
And ride on.